Hello, all you Hollywood glamazons. Welcome back. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Garet, and we're your hosts of Modern Gaze. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about fear, your comfort zone, and basically how to say fuck it with our special guest, Margie Haber. Margie Haber is a renowned acting coach who has shaped the careers of some of Hollywood's biggest stars. Halle Berry, Tiffany Haddish, Brad Pitt, the list goes on. With her decades of experience and a true passion for finding your authentic voice, she doesn't only help actors, she helps everyone searching for ways to get past their fear, to get out of their comfort zone and into their authentic voice. Inspired by Margie's book, Fuck Your Comfort Zone, we're going to be doing just that. Let's get into it.
Us gays, we just know how to do stuff.
Well, what about modern gays?
That's easy. Modern gays do everything.
Margie Haber, thank you so much for joining us on Modern Gaze.
And so wonderful to be here as the part of the gay community. For some reason, I'm talking British.
Are we traveling?
It comes to do because I'm working on a play right now called Closer, and it's British. So all my students now have to start to do the British accent. I myself have a fabulous British accent.
I myself do not.
Yeah, well, I'm starting to get an Australian accent living in Australia. I feel like I'm saying certain words a little bit differently.
I love Australians. I do believe I was an Australian in my past life.
So I consider you family. You are my aunt. You are my mom's confidant. You are a huge impact in my life.
Best friend.
Bestie.
You are, and my mom's best friend. And I just want to preface this. Like, you were the very first representation in my life as someone who was proudly accepting who they are within the LGBTQ plus community, as well as someone who has achieved and worked so hard for their dreams to impact others so positively. And when I was going through challenges and really understanding who I was and who I was becoming and what I really wanted out of my life, you always had an open door. And I'm so grateful that I could, when I was ready, come to you and seek advice from you and have a really great representation of someone who's living a out and proud life. And that has had a profound effect in my existence. So I want to just throw that out there first.
Well, first of all, thank you. And I can remember those who don't know you when you were a baby, but I remember when you were a little baby, I remember you were born. And then I remember when you got older, and I remember walking into your room. Do you remember this? And sitting down by your bed.
I do.
Letting you know, I know that you're gay.
And I was like, what? No.
And you had that high voice. What? What? I do know. And I was very trying to be as kind as, because, I want you to know, I'm your Aunt Margie, and whatever you need, I'm here for you. And when you're ready to share, I'll be here for you. But I remember that day. It was like I thought you were like kind of your heart was going to build out of your chest.
Yeah.
I don't know if you weren't necessarily ready to open up yet, but I do.
No, I think like 10 years later, I finally came out. But it was definitely a moment in my life where I was really grateful. And I think that everyone should hopefully have someone in their life like that. And as someone who is an international influence within the acting community, within the performance and arts community, as an acting coach and as an audition coach, and working with these huge icons that I have always loved and seen on screen, and now moving into the work of more human interaction and connection outside of the acting and entertainment industry, and releasing a book called Fuck Your Comfort Zone.
Fuck Your Comfort Zone. Good.
So I want to talk about, obviously that moment in my life, when I came out, I had at some point had to fuck my comfort zone. And I didn't really necessarily know I was doing that. So what is a comfort zone? What does that look like?
Okay. So thank you for all that stuff you said. And what's interesting about when I wrote my book, just to give a little preface to your audience, it was during COVID time, and I was sitting home like everybody else was, and listening to birds for the first time ever. Being able to actually, because there was no noise, there was no cars or
Right.
trains. And the world was going through such chaos. And it's so hard when you're afraid to fuck your comfort zone. Because what I think of as comfort zone is staying in neutral. And that when you're staying in neutral and you're not moving, you're making that move to go to the next place in your life.
Right.
It's that comfort, it's safe, and it makes you feel, that you'll be okay. But when you do take those little steps, and they don't have to be big steps, everyone. I mean, I didn't become Margie Haber today. I didn't know who I was going to be. I had no idea. That I thought I was a teacher in Culver City School District. Everybody starts somewhere. But the difference I think that helps everybody to understand is to learn to say yes. So I very rarely said no. I say yes to majority of things. When years back, when Mary Wilson, for people who know the Diana Ross and Supremes, and Mary Wilson was my best friend. She died 3 years ago. We were best friends for 56 years. When she told me, and when I was 23, Margie, why don't you move to California? I said yes. I had no idea how I was going to afford it. I didn't know where I was going to live. But I was young. I said, fuck it, fuck it. I'll just do it.
Yeah.
I knew I had my friend Mary there, but I lived with her for a while in this kind of fantasy world where there were the Temptations and the Four Tops and Dionne Warwick and Leslie Uggams and Nancy Wilson and Michael Jackson when he was 10 years old. And all these people would come over and hang out and smoke some weed. It was really kind of a very 1970, very, very calming time in people's lives. Very cool. Very smoking. So who knew what the next steps would be? But I knew that this was an opportunity for me. And when an opportunity is there, your job is to say yes to it.
I like that idea of yes and, where you
don't know what's next.
You don't know necessarily what's next in that world of improv where you have to take what's given to you and roll with it.
Well, you're thrown in the situation, right? And then you just figure it out and you navigate the scene or you navigate life and you roll with the punches and you keep saying yes, but like Margie said.
But not many people can do that. Most people are
struggling with fear,
conscious about the fear that or unconscious about the fear that they have, but they can connect fear with comfort and without really realizing it. That's why you have to
take this is one of the things that happens. You don't need to take large steps. The thing is, you don't take a large, Margie now is this famous acting coach. She just goes all over the world. She's 120 years old. She does all these things. But I never saw that as my dream.
Right.
That was not my dream then. My dream was to be a mother, a famous actress, and a famous singer. And I became a famous mother.
Yeah.
So I was an actor and singer, but I became a mother, is what I'm saying. Not all of the things are going to happen, but when you do is you take small steps. Sometimes, like I tell my students as actors, when you're creating a life, when you're creating a character, you don't wait till the day before the audition to create it or the day before you're shooting it. You spend 15 minutes a day. That's all. Can you spend 15 minutes a day? Can you find 15 minutes a day? You brush your teeth with 15 minutes a day. You go to the gym. Can you find 15 minutes a day to do this for you? To jump into the life of this character so that it's fun, because no one can take away the joy of creating. And once you understand that 15 minutes is for me, then you no longer have to procrastinate. There's a whole thing in my book about procrastination. And procrastination, and the chapter of my book is, it's about fear. If I do it now, will it be good enough? If I see these people now, will they like me? It's always the fear of what happens. So let me just wait till later. And I am the opposite of procrastination. I do everything right now. First of all, I'm too old to remember, so I have to do it. I think another problem with people when they think of the word fear can motivate people.
Absolutely.
It's what fear does to you. Like fear does to me, it motivates me. For other people, it puts them in neutral. It sinks them in. That's when it gets bad.
Yeah.
But fear can actually stimulate you to get you to the next place. The worst thing is actually the thing which is to shut down.
Now, that's actually the first time I looked at fear in that way, in that you don't have to necessarily just be afraid of fear or associate it as a negative thing. It's really about being aware of what it does to you,
what it can do,
how it affects you, and what you do with it.
You see, the older I get, I let fear get the better of me, and I sink in when I am presented with fear.
Like you shut down?
I shut down, and then I procrastinate, and then I spiral, and then I just constantly keep thinking of really bad scenarios because I let that fear get the better of me. But I try and obviously work through it. But I felt like when I was, 10 years ago, when I was 18, 21, I was like, fuck fear. And I would literally live freely.
So why do you think that happens in some people?
Because you're pretty stupid when you're 21, 23. You go, fuck it.
Right.
I don't know the consequences. I can get stoned as I want. I can take as much drugs as I can. I can do whatever I want. I can go, oh, hi, I'm Margie. I can visit people. People love me. And then all of a sudden you get older and then things change because you realize that there are consequences to things that you do in life. And when you get older and you have more things like family and bills to pay and things at stake, the things that used to work when you're younger don't work as well. So you have to find new tools. And one of the biggest tools from chapter 5 in the ego states is the nurturing parent. Most people do not have their own nurturing parent. They run to someone else to take care of them.
I love that. Most people think about their inner child, but they don't think about a nurturing parent.
Well, because the 5 egos are critical parent. That's the voice of us that says how loud is that voice, right?
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. I'm too fat. I'm too old. I'm too this. I'm too that. The fearful child, which goes into cahoots with it, which is you can't have a critical parent without a fearful child. Because the fearful child is telling you to either eat a lot of chocolate and stay home, right? Or stand in a corner somewhere. Its fear is really, or use the word doubt, D-O-U-B-T, hugely. But if you're lucky enough and you recognize that, the most important voice is the next one, which is the nurturing parent voice that we give to other people, but are so challenging to give to ourselves, to just sit in that wonderful voice and become your mommy and go, I love you, little Margie. Nothing's going to harm you, not while I'm around. And just love myself, love me. And if I have a large nurturing parent, a really big voice like that nurturing parent voice is enough for me. I don't have to seek it from somebody else. Like I call Garet's mom almost every day. Joanne. Okay, hi, so love me. Joanne, okay, my skin's burning all over the place. Joanne, help me. I mean, every day, we talk every single morning, and I'm kvetching, Jewish that's complaining, kvetching because of fear, because I just can't stand things that go on. Now, if I used what I have learned and helped myself, I would take a deep breath. I would use the stop, take a breath, observe, how am I feeling today? Oh, I'm feeling better. Proceed. Walk with dignity, walk with love. And then I'm not in such a panic state. It's always challenging. And I don't care how old you are. It's constantly a life lesson. And you have to forgive yourself when you go back to old bad habits.
We wake up and we constantly just look at our phones, right? And we wake up to emails, Instagram, messages, calls from people that maybe you think something bad has happened. And I've read recently, when you wake up and you instantly check your phone, you go into a state of fear and your fight or flight mode kicks in straight away and you're in survival mode from the second you wake up. So I think what you said there is really beautiful because you need to allow yourself the time to get up. How do you feel? Observation. Take a moment for yourself and then step into the day.
Yes, and I must say, I'm really not good at that.
No, I think many of us aren't.
I do check my phone constantly. First thing I get in the morning is I get my phone, I sit down in the toilet.
Yeah.
But I do think that when I'm in a healthier place emotionally, this morning I got up and I just sat up and I said, I'm so grateful. Now I have to get my 5 grateful things in the morning.
What would you say from what you have seen over the years in coaching and in class and in actors or in people? When you are watching a scene or when you are watching them, live their slice of life.
Garet's going to correct the words.
Yes.
Thank you, Garet.
Trust me, I have heard the word slice of life and building the character since I've met Garet. But what do you think is the number one sign that they are holding themselves back or living in fear or not fucking their comfort zone?
Oh, well, everyone's different. If you were to go out and just observe, go to the airport, go to a coffee shop, if you're an actor or a non-actor, doesn't make a difference, and just watch people's behavior. Everyone is different. Now, for me, when I'm anxious and fearful, I am out like a crazy person. I'm the opposite. I'm like, I take over space all the time. For other people, when they're scared and they're full of fear, they become small. And if you're living a character's life, just because you express your behavior of fear in a small way, you would never play Margie Haber that way.
Right.
You'd have to understand Margie's behavior. You see, the world is, we are all the same in our core. Our core is our sadness, our pain, our fear, our love. We all have core. What we do to survive is the mask. And everyone's mask is different. Some people's mask is indifference. Some people's mask is anger. Some people's mask is humor. You know, when you take someone like Tiffany Haddish, who's my student, and Tiffany is a comic. She's a comedian. She came to me years ago when she was homeless, living in a car, and she wanted to just do comedy. That's all she wanted to do. But I said, no, I want you to, let's look at the core, your own truths. And Margie, I didn't come to this class to look at all the shit I had in my life. No, that's true. But that's not my class. In my class, it's not a matter of I have to show emotion. It's a matter of being honest with yourself. Because you can't live a human being's life. My book, Fuck Your Comfort Zone, is all about if I know me really well, and I know what makes me tick, and I know what, to answering that question, how I mask when I'm fearful, then and only then can I really live another person's life so I can understand how they mask their way of living. So you have to know yourself first, because you can't live another person's life. Then you're just showing us until you own it inside out. You know, we're human. There's nothing wrong with you experiencing fear and pain, and all these things are part of you. And you need to take care of all those pieces.
Right.
You can't push them away. I mean, the fearful child, sometimes I just got to say to my fearful child, I know, honey, I know. You're afraid this is never going to go away. I know. You don't have to be mean to your other parts of yourself, you know? Your critical parent, I know, honey, you're not 50 anymore. I know, but you look beautiful anyway. You have to be kind. The adult says, all right, get some sleep, work out. And the playful child says, fuck it. So you have all your different tools to be able to help yourself. It's not easy to be a human being. I mean, period. It doesn't make a difference if you're an actor or if you're creating a character.
Agree.
Living a life is hard, no matter who you are. You know, when I was younger, I thought life was easy because I had an easy childhood. But you grow to understand that everyone struggles. Everyone struggles. Nobody gets away with the world without struggling. But when you get wiser and you do things like, okay, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to take a deep breath. I think right now I'm just going to go take a nice walk. What you have to really do, that's really important, is look into the mirror and say, I love you. I love you. You are my Valentine. You have to love yourself. And you can't always love yourself. You can't always like yourself. You know, and you can't live like everybody else. You know, I used to think, oh, well, that person fucked me up. You know what? I don't want to see them anymore. Gone. No, that's not true. That's not true. Now I understand. There are pieces of people I just don't like, and I don't have to like those pieces.
Absolutely.
But I still love them, and I don't have to cut them out of my life.
When you are less afraid to be yourself and to see yourself more authentically, and then live outside of that fear, or just really kind of live in maybe a state of uncomfort by feeling all this or discomfort.
Let yourself be discomfort. Discomfort's a great state to be. Living in discomfort is something that you want to practice. Like it's really very, this conversation may be uncomfortable for me, but I don't have to run away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like that discomfort and then saying, fuck it, leads to freedom. Right? Like I feel like it's a pattern. Like that discomfort, if you sit in it, you feel it, you acknowledge it, you give yourself that like parenting, like you said, give your inner child that love. Then you go, fuck it, I'm going to like move forward and say yes. And then you're free. Like you have then the authenticity to go and have conversations with strangers on an airplane, or go on a date, or go and find love, or go for an audition, or go on a new job. Like that will unlock different aspects to your life, right?
I think it unlocks it, but my fear of saying all this is to think it's not going to go back to old habits.
Right.
That's not true. So people go, I've unlocked it. I feel so good. Oh my God.
Leveled up.
I am flying, baby.
Yeah.
Everything's fabulous. And then I can't pay my bills. And everything's fabulous.
Right.
And someone scratched my car.
Yeah.
And everything's fabulous. But I mean, it just isn't the way life is. You know, you just can't always be happy. You just can't. It's just not part of what the world is like. You have to accept sometimes people think, gotta be happy. Forget your troubles. Come on, get happy. Take all your cares away. Shout out, you know, Judy Garland sang that. She certainly wasn't happy. I mean, it's okay to feel sad for a while. It's okay to feel fear. You don't have to run away from it, because life is a circle. So, you know, the circle of life is this. I know people can't see because this is audio, but if you were to go from the bottom of a circle, right? The bottom is the worst. And then this is what happens. As you're going closer, you go, oh, things are good. Oh my God, things are fabulous. We're at the top of the circle. Fantastic. Woohoo! Fabulous. Then, it's going down a little bit here.
Skyrocketing down.
It's good. Not so good.
It's back down.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean you're always going to be at the bottom of the circle, nor does it mean you're going to be at the top of the circle.
Going around the circle is a lot better than just staying in the middle of it.
Yes.
Going nowhere and feeling trapped.
And feeling stuck.
And I think that that's what comfort does. Like you have mentioned at the beginning of your book, that comfort zone is like a straitjacket. It's like your own prison that you've given to yourself to protect yourself, but limit yourself in the way of what you can experience or challenge yourself or how you can grow. And that circle analogy is great because you're literally inside that circle locked, not moving, not experiencing. And then once you start moving around it, there's the ups and there's the downs, but you are moving. And there's that energy of life.
Moving. Well, like you said, but you stay, because fear, when it's neutral, you cannot get the car to move. So, you know, you put the car in neutral and it ain't going anywhere. So you have to put it in drive, but you got to put gas in the car.
And the key. You got to put the key. Got to have the key.
But nobody can turn that car on but you. And that takes courage.
Yeah.
So you're writing a book right now, your third book.
I am.
And you are bringing on another challenge to yourself to achieve that accomplishment. And when you can very much just be like, I've given enough. You've given so much. You can say, I've given enough, but you want to give more. And that comes.
What's wrong with me?
I guess for your own experience, like what is your current straitjacket? What is your current comfort zone look like, and how are you
pushing through it?
Going to push through it, or thinking about pushing through it, or are you still challenged in that way?
Well, I'm challenged with a lot of pain. That's why you asked me. I've got a lot of pain right now going on in my life. I have skin that's burning. I have, you know, I have hives all over the place. I have to keep moving and walking.
Yeah.
And at nighttime it gets worse. Why does pain come in worse at night? Because you settle in. You're not, you know, you're not active. You're not doing. You know, you're just laying down, and so the pain comes worse. And this is for everybody that experiences pain. Then you get up in the morning and you feel better, and you start doing your thing, and you're teaching, or what I'm doing when I'm teaching, and then my pain lessens. Just limit the amount of stuff I do so that I can take care of myself. It's really about taking care of myself.
Yeah,
That's
I love that.
I need to do it. I'm not very good at that. I have to remind myself.
I'm sure many listeners who are listening to this episode today are probably going through their own struggles, right? Or their own situations in life where they are wearing a straitjacket. What would you say to someone who is maybe feeling a little bit lonely in the world, or single, or constantly going on dates and not meeting the right persons, or craving
their dream?
Craving new connections to meet new friends? How can they get out of that rut to go through the circle of life that we've already discussed?
Reach out. I had a student of mine who reached out to me day before yesterday. She's an actress. She's had a baby in an abusive relationship, has no money, wants to take classes, reached out. I said, "Oh, just come into class. Just come. I want you. Of course, I'm going to help you out." If she had not made that call, if she had not taken the courage to ask for help, she'd be sitting in that depression and in that fear and with a baby. So, you have to reach out to people that you think will be there for you. That they don't have all the answers, but you make that call. You take that first step, and it's hard. Maybe it's a text. Maybe it's a call. Maybe you play tennis, or you play basketball, or you're an artist, or whatever, or you're an actor. Like mine is a community. I have a great community, hundreds and hundreds of actors, 14 teachers, and each class has a group where they can go. You know what? Let's get together. Want some coffee and let's talk, or let's do an improv together. And they found their way to a community. It's about finding a community that works for you. You have to remember, I came from when my time in 1804, where nobody was gay unless you looked gay.
Right.
Now you would be a dyke on a bike, or you could be. These are definitely wrong words to use. But I'm saying when I grew up younger, I used to think of it as a dyke on a bike or a fagala. That's a Jewish expression for a gay guy. Now I used that when I was younger because that's what it was, and I didn't think anybody could ever look like me. I mean, there's no woman that would ever look like me. So what's wrong with me? How could I be gay? I had to hide that part of me. And I had to either be gay or straight. I couldn't be in between. There was no such thing as fluid.
That's why sometimes, especially like for yourself or for even us, like even when I came out, it was still difficult in 2010. Like we are constantly living in fear. We're constantly living in a state of shame. So for us to take that leap and say, fuck it, it's so big. It sounds so small. But when you've lived as a hidden closeted gay man or a gay female for 30, 40 years of your life, it's so hard to do the work to reverse all that so quickly and live authentically.
One of my podcasts, because I have a podcast, if anybody wants to listen to my podcast, it's Margie Haber, Fuck Your Comfort Zone. But one of the podcasts I have is a guy named Chris Schlesinger, who is a teacher of mine as well. And he's been a student of mine for maybe 20 years, long time. And when he first came to me, he was like 21 or whatever, very young, right? Maybe 20, 19, 20. Very young boy. I mean, I knew he was gay, but he didn't talk about it. Right. Well, he had an agent that said you can't go ahead and let everyone know you're gay. So his whole life as an actor was to hide that piece of him. And then he meets a guy, they get married, And then one day his manager said to him, a new manager said, "Why don't you embrace that part of you and go out for parts that require, you to be gay?" And he originally thought that would limit him, but it freed him. For him, not for everybody. For him, he said, if you listen to this podcast, you'll see. For him, he could be his feminine self, embrace his whole feminine side, which he couldn't do before. And ironically, he gets a job on Hacks, which as a drag queen.
See?
Gene Smart
the irony.
Series.
Yeah.
Because he let himself be. There's all parts of Margie. And sometimes I can be very soft and open, and what I think is, I love this part of me, centered and, and just open. I love that. I like that part of me. I like when I'm there. I'm not there all the time, for sure. But then there's the aggressive Margie. What the fuck, man? I've learned how to be funny with my aggressive.
Right.
Get the fuck out of here. New York, whatever. Then there's so why can't you embrace all parts of yourself?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to, you can have the feminine side of yourself. You can have the masculine side of yourself. You can have the vulnerable side of yourself. So if you're an actor, when you're called upon to live a person's life, you pull that out of where you have it within you to start out.
Right. I love that.
And not feel like you have to conform to what everybody else or to what gay is.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's
gays
a part.
do everybody.
That's a part of doing the work and understanding who you are and authentically living your life and saying fuck it to the fear to embrace those aspects of
every part of yourself.
Because I think we're, as human beings, like we're pretty dynamic in our own brain and how we think and how we act and how we show up.
You have to learn about the willingness to communicate. People don't communicate. That's the issue. They're too busy on their phones. Nobody listens and talks to each other. So you have to be a good listener, but you also have to be willing to share. Because if you don't, it's one-sided, and then you miss out on, a deeper relationship.
Well, like you said, like it's movement. A step, a jump, a leap.
Yeah.
It's
a
that.
hop.
It's like it's the same value to take a walk or to jump out of a plane as long as you're moving and you're not stuck.
That's right.
To leave our listeners with a
final thoughts.
Takeaway gem.
Well, after you listen to this podcast and you get off, if you have a dog, give your dog a hug. If you have a cat, stroke your cat. If you have a baby, pick your baby up. If you're someone in the house, give them a hug. Find something physical that you can connect to. And if not, take a walk and smell some flowers. And I always think that if you can get outside of your own shit for a while, it gives you a better perspective to your next moment, right? And I think it's all about being kind to yourself and being kind to other people, and forgive yourself when things don't work out the way it is, because life is filled with challenges, and every challenge is another opportunity to learn. And every time you learn something, you grow, and that's what we're here for.
I love that. Well, we've literally had the best time having you on our show.
Well, I can't wait to come to Australia. So I love you both.
We love you.
And I guess and next will be on my podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love that.
Thanks once again, Margie, for joining our show. It's been a pleasure having you on Modern Gaze today.
And to everyone listening, keep building the vibrant life you want by owning your authentic self.